Take you to Goodyear, Arizona, where explicit new details are coming out about Brittany Zamora, that married middle school teacher accused of hooking up with her 6th grade student. Tonight, we're learning how he supposedly went from being her pupil to her victim. And we're learning who else is in hot water for allegedly letting all of this happen. Because according to some brand new documents, some of the Las Brisas Academy staff members may just have known about Ms. Zamora's underage relationship. There are reports that she was openly flirting with the victim, get this, during recess. Yes, recess. And look, flirting is a classic middle school experience, but not when the adult teacher is the one doing the flirting. And this new document that we got our hands on states that these kinds of interactions happen during school hours and at school events, and that they had sex on and off campus, and that eventually the principal had even heard the rumors that Mrs. Zamora and her student were dating. There was also allegedly some hard evidence. The bag of sexually explicit Post-it notes that someone had allegedly found in her classroom. But it would take a different set of messages for Ms. Zamora to get in trouble. The text messages that the victim's parents found on his phone saying things like, quote, "I'll give you whatever you want, baby." Ms. Zamora has now pleaded not guilty to multiple charges of child molestation and sexual conduct. And she is still behind bars until that trial starts because so far, no bond has been posted. But in the meantime, it is her old school that could be paying up dearly, to the point of maybe $2.5 million in damages. Here's what the parents behind the lawsuit, or at least the threatened lawsuit, told CNN affiliate KTVK. Their voices, by the way, have been altered.
I want her to spend the rest of her life in prison. I want the school to be held accountable for what they've done and change rules and make it to where this can never happen to another parent's child.
Joining me now on the telephone is investigative reporter Tom Perumian. Also, Russell Richelsoph is the attorney for the minors' parents. And then defense attorney Eric Weitz is with me here in the studio. Tom Perumian, let me start with you on this one. We've been getting dribs and drabs, a lot of bits and pieces of information on this story since it broke. But I was alarmed to find out today that Brittany Zamora is still cooling her heels in jail. I think that bond was around $250,000. That's a lot of money for a teacher or a teacher and her husband to try to post. Do we have any idea if it's just too much for them or if it's just too much emotionally for her husband to post? Any idea?
Well, let's remember that a $250,000 bond can be posted with as little as 10%, $25,000. Does the jilted husband want to come up with the money? I think that's certainly the big question involved there, and that's certainly why she's still spinning her wheels in jail. No one's come up with 25 grand to get her out.
And look, 25 grand is a lot of money as well, especially for a teacher and her husband, if they actually wanted to make this happen. So tell me about the newest revelations, Tom, because if our audience didn't think it was pretty steamy and sordid before, the new stuff is pretty gross.
Oh yeah, well, steaming is the word. You know, there's a great shot in the movie Goodfellas where Robert De Niro lays down about 100 pages of telephone tap transcripts and tells Ray Liotta, "What did I tell you about talking on the telephone?" Well, you know, we can update that now because these text messages between Ms. Zamora and her victim being entered as evidence. This is just going to bury her. Primarily, and it's likely to bury the Las Brisas Academy and the Liberty Elementary School District. Her verbiage and what she's talking about and describing about and what she wants to do with this boy, and even some of the boys' responses. You know, we're pushing a hard R rating. We certainly can't talk about it, you know, in public. Again, the other revelation is that Principal John Dickey at the Las Brisas Academy, he not only knew Brittany Zamora, he's the one that recruited her over to the Las Brisas Academy, and then turn the other cheek when he was hearing about questionable activity. Now, in the lawsuit, he's accused of not taking action to protect the student and report Zamora. He's accused of having violated a state statute. Las Brisas Academy and, again, Liberty School District subsequently are accused of allowing Zamora to continue as a predator. And in the plaintiff's lawsuit, they're even being accused of violating the federal statute Title IX, where Zamora's activity is considered discrimination.
So they're going for the gusto on this one. And I want to be really clear, because as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is a lawsuit that is a threatened lawsuit. This is not a filed lawsuit. And there's a difference. One of them is really scary, and you have to provide an answer right away. And the other one is, if you don't do something with us, settle with us, we're going to file this. So this could be all discussion behind closed doors at this time. I do want to do one thing, though. I want to, for anybody who hasn't seen this stuff before, I want to take you back a little bit. And I want to show you some of the original messages that this child's parents were able to get off of his phone. And the way they did that was they had an app, and they looked for keywords, and boy, did they find those keywords and what went along with them. So they said to their child, you text her right now, and you make it sound like it's you and your parents aren't over your shoulder. And we want to see what she texts back. And this is what the allegation is, you know, so far in the criminal complaint, not in the lawsuit. This is from the criminal complaint. So this is what the police say they've got from the parents. The boy says, and again, mom and dad are looking over his shoulder, so it's astounding he was this frank with his alleged girlfriend. I want to F you so bad, baby. Those time weren't enough for me. The reply that came in, allegedly from Mrs. Zamora, his 6th grade teacher, I know, baby, I want you every day with no time limit. She also allegedly says, if I could quit my job and F you all day, I would. The boy says, I need more blank from you, and you're gonna have to fill in that blank because I can't say it on TV. And allegedly, Mrs. Zamora replies, I'll give you whatever you want, baby. So this is one that we knew about. And what I'm about to read you is something we didn't know about. And this apparently came from Post-it notes. So I'm going to ask the control room if they could squeeze together full screen 2 for me. Because in a bag of Post-it notes, apparently found by the staff, presumably afterwards, some of those notes said things like, you got me horny AF. And you should know, if you don't, check the Urban Dictionary what AF means, but there's a clue right there. And then another note says, your husband gonna flip out. And another note says, your cookie calls me, wink, wink. Again, Urban Dictionary, the definition of cookie is a woman's vagina. And then the final note, maybe most telling of all, what time we gonna smash? And I don't think I need the Urban Dictionary to find out what that actually means. Let me, if I can, bring in Russ Richelsoph. He is the attorney for the victim's parents. Russell, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm just super gobsmacked by a lot of this stuff. Much of it is material that it seems you and your clients were able to get from the police, because this stuff didn't come up in the criminal complaint. How did you get your hands on this material? And I've only just scratched the tip of the iceberg here.
The Maricopa County Attorney's Office shared it with us. It's information that we could have gotten through a public records request. Because of that, just to save us the time of having to submit a public records request, they just gave us the material. Well,
that's, I mean, pretty telling stuff, especially since we didn't see it in the criminal complaint. So if prosecutors have this stuff, this is very damning for Mrs. Zamora. There's also other facts in the material that you have, alluded to in your intended lawsuit, and it is that you want to sue for about $2.5 million. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you tell me why it is you want to sue the superintendent in the district? And I'm assuming Mrs. Zamora as well, and correct me if I'm wrong. What is it specifically that you want to sue them for?
Well, are you talking about what action that the district is responsible for?
Yes.
The important thing here is that, we all know what Brittany Zamora did. What's unusual about this case is we actually have a third-party witness. There was an 11-year-old who actually witnessed some of these sex acts being committed. So it's not a he said, she said kind of a case. There's a witness who's a third party who will say, yes, these things happen. The reason why the school district is responsible, though, is that 6 weeks prior to Brittany Zamora being caught, 3 sixth-grade girls went in and spoke with the principal and told him, hey, we think there's something inappropriate here. We think they're dating. We think that he's getting preferential treatment in class. He doesn't get in trouble when the other kids get in trouble. We think something's going on here. There were rumors at the school that the teacher had gotten pregnant by the student. So there were rumors going around that there was some kind of sexual dating activity between between our client and Mrs. Zamora.
So then I also want to just mention real quickly, because I'm just low on time and I want to get as many facts in as I can. We're also led to believe through your allegations in the lawsuit that while the class was watching a product we know well here at CNN, it's called CNN 10. It's a product for school children, informative product. While the class was watching CNN 10, she and this boy would engage in sexual acts behind the projector, meaning she would have, allegedly, this young 6th grader come back to the projector and operate the projector, but instead the two of them would have some sort of contact, sexual contact, literally in the classroom with the class there watching the CNN 10 show. And that also they had sex twice after the school talent show. So the other issue, you said that there was a witness, a 10-year-old witness. I'm under the understanding that 10-year-old witness was actually enlisted to keep watch. It's not just a witness. This was someone who was allegedly enlisted to make sure that the sex acts could stay private. Is that true?
That is true. He's actually 11 years old, but he was asked to keep watch. He knew what was going on, and at one point he did actually witness one of the sexual acts.
I want to also show our viewers Ms. Zamora's one of the appearances that was captured on camera when she appeared before the judge. There's a conversation between Zamora and the judge, and it's fascinating. It's telling about Ms. Zamora's understanding of the legal system and maybe about how much hot water she's in or how much she doesn't understand how much hot water she's in. But it gives you a taste of this person, of this 6th grade teacher. And in light of the allegations that are being made against her, it is fascinating to watch this. Take a look.
So is there anything you just want the court to know about whether or not I should release you or impose a bond at this time? And if you have nothing to say, that's okay as well.
I would love to go home to be released. That'd be amazing. You know, I don't know if there's like just stay at my house, or I'd love to go home to my husband.
I'd love to go home to my husband. Eric, I'd love to go home to my husband. I don't think she understands. That's not what the judge is asking. She's still stuck there on a $250,000 bond.
She has many, many problems, clearly, that got her into this mess to begin with, and she should probably just say nothing. I'm surprised there was nobody standing next to her at that time.
Why was there no one standing next to her?
It must be a process in Arizona. I have a lot of questions about that.
And what about the question regarding the $2 million threatened lawsuit? Is this basically bring your wheelbarrow to the school and ask them to fill it, or you're going to file the lawsuit and you can fill it with as much as you want because of the fact pattern they've discovered?
So in his defense, the parents have to put a number down. The notice that was filed pursuant to the Arizona statute, that you have to file this kind of notice within 180 days of the event of your intention to bring the lawsuit and how much you want, unless you want us to go forward with the lawsuit. So they were following the statute, but
it's a bad case. I mean, these are bad facts. If they're true, they're bad facts.
They do have a problem with the case, though. Even their expert in what they filed says, I can't tell you what's wrong with this young man or whether he's even going to have problems in the future. He might.
Well, then the future problems are a massive issue. I'm going to leave it there, but I don't think it's the last we're hearing of this story and Ms. Zamora. My thanks to Tom Perumian and also to Russ Richelsoph. I'm going to ask you, Eric, if you'll stick around because I have more questions for you as well. A New Orleans deputy shot.